Hello and welcome. My name is Sabrina. I am your host, Keep Your Hand in Your Skirt podcast. Today's topic is about a healthy 5D heart. What is a healthy 5D heart? How do you find out if your 5D heart is healthy? And how can you improve the strength, the health, the conditioning of your 5D heart? So I heard this amazing well, it's not amazing, but in my mind, I got this amazing download when I heard this person talking about in our physical heart, if you want to know if your physical heart is healthy, or if you want to get it checked, if the doctor wants to check it for you, then what you do is you go to the doctor, they put these different patches on you, and then they test your heart rate. And then you'll walk like on a treadmill, and then they'll test it, and then you'll go super fast running on the treadmill, and then you'll go back to walking, and apparently you do this back and forth so they can measure how quickly your accelerated heart rate will go back to its normal resting heart rate. And the faster it goes back to its normal set point is an indicator for how healthy your heart is. So that gave me this instant download, this instant idea when we think of our 5D heart, right? When we think of our multidimensional heart, and what is the multidimensional heart? It's just knowing, operating, functioning from the awareness, from the knowing that we are all one. No one is wrong. No one is superior. Nothing has gone wrong. It's just an experience. We are all one. We are all interconnected. You can go into your heart space and feel pure, unconditional love for yourself and for others. So that is the 5D heart. So many of us have practices, we have different routines, we do meditations, maybe we do yoga, maybe we do workouts, maybe we just have the intention, we do writing processes. It doesn't matter how you get into your 5D heart, but most of us intentionally go to our 5D heart every day. We set the intention, we take the time, we do different games or processes to open our heart so we can get into that feeling place, that knowing place that we are one, and we get to feel and experience that pure love of everything is included, nothing is judged. So if we use this same example of what we do with our physical heart and we use that with our multidimensional heart, how can we strengthen it, or how can we examine it? How can we measure it to see what is the condition of your 5D heart? So here it is. All of us, we incarnated as humans, right? We are all agreed to be born into an imperfect reality. None of us can be perfect. We are all imperfectly perfect. So as an imperfect person, part of the condition, part of the agreement is to be in polarity, to be into contrast, to be into judgment. And what is contrast? Contrast is just an opportunity for you to see what doesn't resonate, what you don't like, what you don't prefer. So contrast is a part of the 3D reality. We wanted it. We wanted the experience of feeling separate, of feeling different, separated, pulled apart from everyone, and we wanted the experience of preferences. So we get contrast. Contrast is a beautiful gift to help us get clarity on what we do want, what we would prefer, what we would rather be creating. So that's an example of when you get contrast, or you're in your third dimension, or you're sitting inside a judgment, or you're angry at yourself or someone else, or you're blaming, any contrast experience, any 3D experience would be like running really, really fast on the treadmill. And then how much time does it take you to get back into your fifth dimensional heart? Not fake getting back, right? Like when you're running, and you're out of breath and you're huffing and puffing, you can't not be huffing and puffing. You can't fake it. You can't fake your normal resting heart rate. So if you're experiencing contrast, you're in the third dimension, you're way outside the vortex, or you're way outside pure unconditional love. You don't want to say, okay, I'm back there, airy, airy, happy, happy, feel good, love and light. Like that's like, I'm not talking about spiritual bypassing. You know, I'm a fan of being real, being authentic, being transparent. So you're in contrast, which is no problem. We wanted contrast, but how long does it take you to get back into your 5D self? Through a pure process, not a fake, not camouflage, not pretending, not lying to yourself or to others, but a pure one. And how can you get back to your fifth dimensional self? Well, for me, I'm a big believer in whatever the contrast is showing you, let it be. Like, allow it to come in, allow it to be there, allow it to be seen, witness it, acknowledge it, validate it. I'm so fucking angry right now, for example, or I feel so betrayed and hurt right now, or I'm in rage right now. Whatever your contrast experience, acknowledge, express, and validate the emotions that you are experiencing. Not to try to not to try to force them to go away. And this is what I heard also today that I thought was brilliant, or maybe I said it when I was talking to a friend, but you get resistance when you try not to be judgmental, when you're doing it when you're being judgmental from a point of view that you're right and they're wrong, or you're being judgmental about anything, you're creating a resistance. So the more you want to be like, I got in a fight with my partner, he's such a jerk, he doesn't listen, he doesn't support me. Like, so the more I want to judge him, the more resistance I'm creating, which is now creating I'm going to have a bigger reflection of that resistance, because I'm not passing through the hurt and disappointment. I'm angry, I'm judging, I'm projecting my anger, I'm projecting my judgment, and I'm amplifying the emotion, which is okay to talk about your emotion, but the more I talk about it, and the more I project my judgment, I'm just creating more and more judgment. I'm creating more and more emotion. I'm creating resistance. So I'm going to be sitting inside that resistance longer or deeper the more I keep wanting to put all the blame on someone else or put all the blame on myself. Versus if I can just have awareness, like, oh wow, this happened and that really shocked me. That startled me. I didn't see that coming. That really, that hurt me. And I might have extreme anger, which Bashar just said this, and I love this. Bashar said anger is an opportunity for you to get clarity. Especially he's talking about that anger, that burst of anger, that extreme anger that lasts 10 to 15 seconds. That anger is just you getting really clear with who you are, with what you wish or what you desire or what you're feeling. So a lot anger, he was sharing, anger is a very positive emotion. It's here for a reason. It just cuts right through, it cuts right to the heart of the matter of what you're really feeling. No more bullshitting. You just get right to it, right? It just explodes out of your mouth what you're thinking or feeling, or your body's feeling, or your multidimensional self is sensing, right? It's just a window to help you get clarity. So it's okay to be in anger or whatever the emotion is. But if I keep telling this story, now I'm turning this anger, now is the anger serving me if I'm sitting inside the judgment of the anger, and if I'm sitting inside the pattern of judging. So to get from your 3D experience where you have contrast, when something shows up, you have contrast, whatever the type of contrast is, something shows up that you would prefer not have shown up, or you would prefer something different. Just be aware, I feel this, I'm inside this emotion, I'm having this experience, and allow it to lean into the emotion. not project it out, not suppress it down, not push it away, not be in denial, but lean into the emotion so it can be seen, acknowledged, and validated, and watch what happens. Usually what happens when emotions are allowed to be seen, acknowledged, accepted, validated, when you lean into them, they pass through. They pass through, not because you pushed them away, not because you forced them down, not because you pushed them away. You didn't go into denial. You didn't go into the blame game where, the blame game, some people want to blame forevermore, right? It's always somebody else's fault, right? That's an indicator that you're in the pattern of the blame game. But if you're wanting to get back to your heart space where you can experience true, pure love, allow the emotions to come in. And so I thought, what a great metaphor, what a great symbolism, as let's not, contrast is here for a reason. Contrast has a benefit. Contrast is supportive. Let contrast help us find out what we'd rather have, what works better, what we'd prefer not to create anymore, what we'd prefer to lean into instead, what we'd prefer to put our focus on instead, what story would we like to go, what direction would we like to point. And when we get out, no big deal. But notice how, when we start to process, how much leg time does it take us to authentically get back into our heart space? And a lot of topics, it's going to vary. Some topics you can just get whacked out. Maybe you're driving and somebody's an idiot and it pulls you into contrast. You want people to have more training before they drive. I don't know, whatever your story is. And then maybe, you could all right, maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe, who knows? Right? And then you can get back into your heart space really fast. Maybe if it's a more intense topic, a more significant topic, it really pulls you out and you stay out for a day or two or a week, right? But then the more you practice this, the more you intentionally want to feel the emotions, to deal with the emotions, to honor the emotions, to express the emotions, to validate the emotions, you'll find they start to flow through faster. It becomes easier. So is anyone who is operating on their fifth dimensional self able to sustain 5D consciousness 24/7? I don't know anyone, but I know people have different periods where they get better at it, where they get more consistent at it, where they can pop back into their feel-good self faster. I know for my own self, it's easier for me. And it also is comforting for me because when I'm in my third dimensional body, when I'm in my pain body, when I'm having extreme contrast, extreme difficult situations, I have so much faith, I have so much trust in knowing that this isn't permanent. Yes, today sucks. Yes, I might be crying a lot or I might be really angry a lot, but this is temporary. I know I have the ability to get back into my heart. I know that. I know that for a fact. I would bet you $20, $100 million I will go back into my heart space. So it gives me more self-compassion. It gives me more self-kindness because when the difficult times show up, I don't have the anxiety or the worry oh my gosh, am I heading down into a deep depression and am I going to stay here for weeks and months? I mean, how bad is this going to get, right? Luckily, I have been into deep depressions before, but I've worked my way out on multiple occasions. So at this point, I have so much self-trust that I can give myself that kindness when something does show up. I'm okay with being sad. I'm okay with being mad. I'm okay with being uncomfortable because I want to honor the emotions because I know part of working through it is to honor the discomfort. So I don't have to hide and run away from the discomfort anymore, right? So I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I can just share from my own experience that the more I do this, the more I intentionally do this work, the more I intentionally hold space for these different emotions, it's easier and it happens quicker. And a lot of times I'm not even trying to make it happen quicker, right? I'm gonna hey, I'm gonna lay low the next couple days. I just had a really rough situation.